Podcast.
Welcome
Welcome
to
podcast.
It's a pod where you talk on the mic and you listen.
Yep, that's all it is.
That's our jingle, dudes.
Welcome back to the basement
Jingle
suite.
dudes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
A little
It's
bit.
been a hot minute.
It has been a hot, dude. This minute is so hot as of now.
It's like I burned it. I burned my hand on it. My hand on it just a moment ago.
Really?
I should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're in different places right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm not on Earth.
we no.
Yeah.
No, where are you?
Mars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
That's where men are from, apparently.
it's just me and Joe Biden on Mars. I don't know why. I want to go.
Not sure why he's there.
Yeah.
Just hanging out on Mars with Joe.
I'm really scared though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come?
Because no one else is here. It's just me and Joe.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
He's been ordering like 3 margaritas from the bartender. We don't even have a bartender. Like, Joe, what are you? And I said I wasn't in a jokey mood.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we started talking. Anyway, welcome to episode 3.
Good evening.
Or good morning. And if I don't see you, good afternoon and good night.
Wow. I just watched that movie like yesterday.
It's so good.
So philosophical and overwhelming.
Yeah. Did you notice there's a number on Truman's sail when he goes out on the water near the end? I'd say spoilers, but it's like 20 something years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the number corresponds to a Bible verse.
What the shit?
It corresponds with one of the Psalms, which is like it's the one where it's like God knows when I rise and when I go to sleep.
Damn.
Yeah.
I
It's
Sorry. Whenever people say God now, it's just like interesting because I watched a TikTok that has influenced my entire uh, uh, commentary.
theology.
Yes. And
Yeah.
this one girl, she was like, I will never get religion. And she just kept referring to God as Cloud Daddy and Sky Papa.
Sky Papa, did you say?
Yeah. And
That's very good.
it cracked me up. And it was like, I agree with you. Um, yeah. So, I wanted this podcast to be a fairly interview based podcast where I would interview Connor and just sort of like do what we do in if, like when we have a new professor or anything. So if is just a class that we have to take where it's just where all the theater people hang out in the college, and we interview profs when they first come in, and that's what I'm gonna do for Connor. And not specifically about your theater journey, but your journey as a white person. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have any questions prepared because I'm just going to do some general asking as a girlfriend and also as a white, black, brown person. Sorry, I got a little
Nice.
crisis there. Yeah,
Nice.
thank you.
Episode 3, Alicia interviews a white man.
Is this episode 3 or 2?
This is 3. Number 2 was the Instagram Q&A.
Dude! Bongos.
Yeah.
Time really flies when you're doing heroin. Sorry.
I wouldn't know. I've never had time fly.
Joe Biden peer pressured me into doing heroin.
I'd love to get that cross stitched onto a pillow.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Take it away, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Anyways, so yeah, we're here with Connor. Hello.
Hello.
How
Hi.
are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I had to get up pretty early today for class.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wait,
but
it's Wednesday. Yeah.
it is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yep. Sorry, I have no idea what the days and months and years are like.
They don't matter anymore.
I'm on Mars, so I
Hmm.
also just woke up from a nap, so I have no idea like what time it is and like how to live right now. I'm also on Mars.
Especially since, yeah,
Sorry.
that really,
Such a
that really throws a wrench in things.
yeah. Ugh. Now I have an excuse whenever I don't want to do stuff. Like, sorry, I can't. I would love to go to your baby shower. I'm just like on Mars right now, so sorry.
No,
Sorry, Janice.
what a shame.
Um,
But yeah, I'm doing okay. Trying to keep busy.
mhm. And what has your life been like since COVID?
My life been like since COVID has been, yep. It's been really, really weird.
Yep.
There have been different kind of like phases. Like COVID's been around long enough that there have been different chapters of life under COVID.
Hmm.
So the first chapter of my time having to deal with COVID was like self isolation
Hmm.
with in my basement suite.
Hmm.
Uh, Ended up being even more isolated than I expected because my roommate at the time also ended up moving home to Victoria.
And when did you self-isolate? Like how much time ago?
Longer than I should have. Uh,
Hmm.
like it took me more time than it probably should have for me to self isolate, but um, I would say it was about maybe 2 or 3 weeks before I hunkered down.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was about, I guess, at least I would say it was about maybe 2 or 3 months that my roommate was gone.
Hmm.
Um, and it was just me. I didn't have anything really to go outside for other than to get groceries
Fair.
and like um yeah, so I was trying not to get too bored. Like I have stuff to do. I've got like YouTube stuff and I've been trying to like write stuff. Um but near the end of the second month I was definitely losing it.
Yeah. And so
Don't
what
think I
like would have been your tactics on combating the boredom?
Tactics on combating boredom. My main one was I bought a Nintendo Switch, um, just to like give myself something to be excited about, and would take up a good deal of my time,
Yeah.
which it did. So between that and making YouTube videos and trying to write plays and video essays
Hmm.
and yeah, between those things, um, and like watching YouTube, watching Netflix. Uh, I did okay, but it was I don't think I would have been able to last longer than I needed to,
Hmm.
like before my roommate got back.
True. That's valid. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a similar experience because I've never actually had to isolate. And uh, I mean, this isn't an interview about me, but I'm just sharing. Um,
Hmm.
I like didn't even have to isolate after I got to Ghana, um, just because I wasn't tested positive for anything at all. So, but I do understand what you mean, like boredom boredom wise, it definitely gets more frustrating when you are um, quarantined but with another person because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've just been watching a whole lot of like how quarantine affected my relationship with my fiance, kind of
Yeah.
shits and giggles. Uh, and it's bad. Like there's a lot of people who broke up because they just like couldn't be with that person anymore, and there's a lot of people who got engaged, and we know
Yeah.
couples, which like good for you, but also I just don't want like I don't know I don't want engagement and further uh steps in a relationship to be a result of COVID. Like if that's the
Yeah. No.
that's a bit weird. But
Yeah. And I will say, like, during that first, like, handful of months
mhm,
that you were still in BC, like, being able to, like, visit you and have you in my bubble, like, helped a great deal.
right, yeah. Okay, let's move on to another question. So you went to you grew up in Alberta,
Yep.
and
Calgary.
yes, Calgary, and you had um sort of what is it like you just had your most of your adult life spent in like Canada, correct?
Yeah, save for vacations and mission trips.
Yeah, correct. Um, which how many mission trips did you go on?
Uh, went on one every year through high school, so four.
Okay, and were they all to Jamaica?
They were all to Mexico.
Mexico. Okay. Did you ever go to Jamaica?
Jam- Jamaica was a vacation.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit. Yeah, could you tell me about your like experience like growing up in Alberta and um mostly race wise? Did you like how did your encounters go with like people of color and did you have to encounter people of color
Um.
in Alberta?
Yeah. I would say that, like, the majority of my circle, like family and friends, um, was white. Um, which I mean, there was, like, the exception is there was this one family um, from, I think, Nigeria. This family that my mom met. It was a like a single mom and her two teenage sons. Well, the younger son wasn't teenage yet, but two sons.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so my mom had kind of reached out to them because the mom had she had quite the story, like,
Mm-hmm.
of why she had very much had to get away from Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
and also why she's a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so, we hung out with them a couple times, but other than that, I didn't really have a whole lot of black or brown friends. I had a couple of Asian friends in, like, homeschool co-op groups.
Mm-hmm. And so like when you did have certain encounters with black or brown or like Asian people, um, did sort of was there a culture clash between the two of you? How were they mostly like I don't want to use the word whitewashed, but were they mostly like westernized or like I know a couple of your friends, like Kamiko, for example, is has Kamiko's Asian?
Yeah,
Yeah, but has roots in Canada, right? And born
yeah,
and everything. So, yeah, just did those cultures come out when you were interacting with any people of color?
Um, I didn't I didn't really notice any differences or cultural clashes. I very much like, especially when I was younger, so like elementary and junior high, I wasn't like socially aware enough, like not just like as far as like social issues, but like my social skills were not developed enough to notice that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
like um, it's I find that it's a little challenging. And now, did you encounter any? You are a Christian, and so did you encounter any people of color at church even?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Probably.
Hmm.
I know that my my church in Calgary is definitely mostly Caucasian,
Hmm.
um, but I don't remember it as being like 100% white. Maybe that's maybe that's just something that my brain wants to remember,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I couldn't say for I couldn't say for sure.
Okay. Well, so moving on to university, how did that change? How did um, because you did go to Trinity, which we all know
Mm-hmm.
Trinity is a very, 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 very white campus.
Yeah,
It's unfortunately white is the phrase I'm going to use, and I have many things against it.
yeah.
Just this is not the place for Trinity anti-Trinity podcast, but yeah. Yeah, so how did going to Trinity affect your view of people of color, and how did it broaden your view of people of color? How did it like how did your encounters change?
I think because I don't think I definitely didn't like grow up with any like racial biases as far as I knew. Like I never like tried to avoid like people that weren't the same race as me. Um, like I wasn't standoffish about anyone like that. Um, I think university was the place where I kind of started to learn the the sort of very subtle like prejudices that have affected my behavior around people that aren't white.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think it's that was kind of the main effect. Um, I also, I mean, I definitely didn't have any like close close black friends until I came to Trinity, um,
Yeah.
which is when I met people like A Ray and Dunji.
And
Um,
how were your interactions with them? What was the learning curve like of getting to know their personality and their culture?
I and I'm not I as I'm saying this I'm kind of realizing my fault for not investing in this, but because we bonded over improv and over comedy, so that was kind of the main thing that we would talk about. Um, so we didn't really talk like none of our conversations really ended up going there.
Hmm. And why do you think that is?
I
Outside of
think
improv.
I don't know. I think as a person, I do this thing where I talk to people based on what I have in common with them.
Right. Yeah.
And if I don't have, and the things that I don't have in common with them, I just don't think about,
Hmm.
for better or for worse.
That's completely valid. Um, yeah, so you are clearly a different person in terms of like who you like how you present yourself and how you talk about race and talk about racial prejudice um,
Mm.
and racism and all of the good buzzwords. And
Hmm.
you're a different person like growing up and what you are now. I find
Absolutely.
that now you are radically more aware than more socially and racially aware. And can you speak more to how and when that transition happened?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly how this happened,
Mhm.
but when I got into when I got into university, I started watching a lot of YouTube. Like a lot.
Mhm.
Like it would take up hours of my day. And it still does.
Mhm.
And at some point, I started finding these video essays in my recommended section.
Mhm.
And it started out, you know, this is exact it's similar to how, like, I could have just as easily fallen to the, I could have just as easily become like an internet Nazi,
Mhm.
because the pattern is the same, where it starts out where I'm like watching video essays about like cartoons and movies, and then those YouTubers associate with other YouTubers who are, talk about more political things. And then I started getting into that. And so I kind of ended up going down this rabbit hole of getting invested in further and further left wing content. Things like Philosophy Tube and Thought Slime and ContraPoints. Not all of whom like I take with the same. Some I have to take, with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what happened, is through my interest in media and kind of the the interpretations that people are making of media and the patterns that they're finding. I started watching this content that was like, oh, that was starting to point out more of how these patterns in media are reflective of patterns in society.
Well, so you mentioned ContraPoints and Thought Slime and
Hmm.
Philosophy Tube.
Yeah,
And I know two of them are white. Are all three
yeah,
white?
yeah.
Okay. So then where did the race part come in?
I mean, despite the fact that they are all white, they all definitely still spoke to like issues of race and racism and the dangers of the far right. And yeah, they were white people that care.
Right. So like allies, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so their influence and their experience as um, white people made
Hmm.
you. Sorry, I'm having like trouble phrasing this, but
It's fine.
it's also like a heavy ass topic. So, uh, yeah, I'm just curious because I don't know that that's the answer for you because like I feel like you've seen more than just YouTube videos in order to make that great of a change in your awareness. Like it's
I
not that I
have.
don't believe you. It's that I think you're more than that. I think you're more than like getting your information from YouTube. And not
Sure.
that getting your information from YouTube is a bad thing. I got most of my information from like Jubilee Middle Ground videos,
Sure.
because they're educational and fun. What does that
Mm-hmm.
mean? And yeah, I just like because I don't know, you just say so many racially aware statements to me now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that, you know, when you are a white person, getting
Mm-hmm.
information from a white person through YouTube, there is that level
Right.
of understanding and that level of like
Yeah.
have the same amount of privilege.
And I think the difference is the fact that the people that I'm watching are getting their information from black people.
Okay, right.
Like they've done their research,
Hmm.
and they're getting like they're getting their information from you know the people that they're actually talking about.
Hmm. And so we all know, I want to change the topic just a little bit, um,
Sure.
and go to Indian people. And that's, if you don't know, I'm Indian. Um, yeah, so,
Wait, what?
dude, no way. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about like what your view of me was as an Indian, and because you didn't perceive me, I'm pretty sure you first recognized me as, oh, she's from Egypt. Cool, great, kind of thing. And then that proceeded into you're originally from India and all that stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask because Canada is filled with Indians all over the country, and
Yeah.
is what can what the government likes to say a global nation. And
Sure.
yeah, so where how did your how man, questions are hard. I should have written something.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did
You're doing great.
thank you. How did your view of Indian people come to be? What were the stereotypes you came in with? What got challenged for you? And how has that affected your relationship with me and my race? And what is me being a brown person for you? So that's a lot of questions. Let's answer the first one. What stereotypes did you come to the race of brown people with? And how did that get defeated?
Um, I don't. I don't think I had very many.
Mm-hmm.
I've always. I don't think I've. Which is not to say that like I don't have any, because obviously there have been some that I've had to work through. Um, but now that I'm thinking about it,
You're allowed to
uh,
like actual stereotypes. I'm asking the question is like what stereotypes did you have?
I don't think I. I think it was like I didn't have any because I don't. I didn't know enough
Mm-hmm.
to like. I guess stereotypes would be like I knew India for curry, and I knew the Taj Mahal and the Burj Dubai
Like the
and
Burj
the
Khalifa?
and it was originally called the Burj Dubai when it was being built.
And what does that have to do with India?
It was just it's just the things that I recognize as being from India.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't think I ever really harbored like any specific like being Indian means this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are just, but I did have a limited knowledge of Indian culture.
Okay.
But I'm the kind of person that know that if I know that I don't know much, I won't assume.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be like, I know that I know these things, and I know that that's not very much.
Good for you. Yeah. Um, because at least it's honest. And
Yeah.
yeah, this is what this podcast is about. I don't know. Anyways, so the yeah, you and how does that change what you know now about India?
Um, what do you mean?
Um, how how have your stereotypes been diffused?
I mean, again, it didn't feel like, it doesn't feel like it's been stereotypes that have been diffused. I've just been learning more.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so my question, sorry. Where then did you get to learn and what did you learn?
Um, I can't remember.
There. Uh, as in, like, do you know more about the culture?
Kind of. Like, I know, like, you've told me about things like Diwali now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, like, I don't. This is the problem is, like, I'm still not a very curious person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, being curious is different than having to know something for your livelihood, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't have the choice of being curious or not. I had to learn how white culture was, how to do it, you know,
Yeah.
it costed me my friends and it costed me my um just stay in Canada, right? And
Mm,
like we can talk about my experience a different time or probably in
yeah.
the next one and see how that contrasts with yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying that I'm not this is not targeting you or anything. This is just I just want to put this podcast out there to
Yeah.
sort of as an awareness of what people still don't know and um if I don't know, I just think that there's a lot that hasn't been talked about white people and what allyship means. And
Yeah.
because if you say or think that you are not racist, that automatically means you think of yourself as an ally, right? And
Sure.
I know that most of Trinity's campus or white population is filled with not racist people, you know?
Mm,
And for those of you who can't see, I'm not racist is in air quotes. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about like what experiences shape the way that we view culture and or sorry, shape the way that white people view culture and how that's culture isn't really a problem, like getting to know someone else's culture. Because,
yeah.
you know, you don't have to. Like, you don't have to know my culture in order to even be in a relationship with me. But
Yeah.
that's changed, obviously, because I demand a lot of things from you. In
Mm,
the way that Canada demands a lot of things from me, but it's fine. Um,
sure.
yeah. What I did have another question. Oh yeah. So the BLM movement. What has that
Yeah.
emotionally?
Um, it's made me, it's given me a much stronger sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's, and this is something that, like, when I'm talking to uh to certain people, um, I often hear, like, like, you guys are so, you're so negative. Like, why do you Why can't you just like take a moment and appreciate what's already been done and like take a moment to celebrate that? And
Mhm.
I've learned like you can do that, but we need to multitask right now.
Mhm.
We can be happy about we can be both happy about the progress that has been made and also aware of the fact that we still have a shitload of work to do.
Absolutely. I also think the progress that has been made is the absolute bare minimum that can be done
Yeah,
for
like we're still working to get to the point of basic decency,
correct 100%. Um,
which is why I am which is why I've learned to be hesitant to be, you know, too positive about things
yeah,
is because it's not yet a whole lot to celebrate.
correct. Yep, absolutely. So then, how did this movement impact what you did, like on social media, and impact how you portray yourself as a white person on social media and your privilege?
Yeah. So I kind of made a realization that like as a white person, I need to communicate that I like that not non-white people can feel safe around me.
Yep.
I need to communicate that I am on their side
Hmm.
and that like and that I am also aware of my privilege
Hmm.
in a way that I will make sure that I do not say or do anything that would be particularly tone deaf or um, or something that may come off as ignorant.
Hmm.
Because if I'm if I'm trying to sound socially aware, but I'm not actually saying anything significant,
Hmm.
then I'm just making noise
Correct. Great.
and taking up the bandwidth of people that are actually saying
Yeah.
things that matter.
Good words, dude. 10 out of 10 worth, I think.
Thank you,
You're
dude.
welcome. um, yeah, that's very insightful. And so then what does that mean, right? Like, have you, what does, okay, let me change that question. Mm, how has your family approached this? If you feel okay talking about it.
Uh, I can't speak for my whole family.
Mhm.
I know what I have done,
Mhm.
and I know some of the stuff that my siblings have done, and I honestly am not. I don't have a whole lot of awareness of like what my parents do about it
Mhm.
because since I live in a different like I've 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 lived for a long time in a different province than the rest of my family.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where I kind of only really know going on with them through texts or through social media.
What was their sort of first opinion or first just initial reaction to everything that was happening?
Um, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't remember there being much of a reaction. I do remember the animosity towards the police being a hot button
Hmm.
because my parents um, are very close friends with a couple where the husband has been a cop.
Hmm.
My grandpa was in the RCMP, so that's a complicated thing to deal with
Yeah.
because I love my grandpa very much. He's
Hmm.
a very like nice, gentle, kind man,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it doesn't change what the RCMP was originally designed to do.
And what? Oh,
Which,
yes, please speak to that. Yeah.
yeah, which the RCMP was similar to the American police system. The RCMP was designed to quote unquote keep in line the country's minorities, particularly our First Nations peoples.
Mm-hmm. And
Um, and I don't think that when my grandpa was working for the RCMP, I don't think he intended for that to be his. I don't think he intended to be,
yeah.
you know, a racist cop for, you know, for that amount of his life, and I don't think he was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it doesn't change the the fact that the system that he was working in has been hardwired towards racism.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Great, thank you. And what are we like on time?
We are at 43 minutes.
Okay. I'll give you a couple more questions. Um,
Yeah.
how? So, what does privilege look like for you?
Privilege looks like the fact that I haven't had to learn much about racism until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that I can just kind of casually get myself educated on, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement and the treatment of First Nations peoples, like the fact that I could just kind of absorb that information from other people and without my life really changing is very privileged.
Right. And how has that changed for you? Have you
Um,
changed it?
it's been hard for things to change practically, like because I would say that like I've become the most motivated to be like a part of activism this year.
Yeah.
Like I wanted at some point during the spring to go to a Black Lives Matter protest,
Mhm.
but the it was like the logistics were just not
Yeah.
feasible.
Yeah.
Uh, and so for me, it's just been more about being vocal
Mm-hmm.
in the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, knowing when I need to announce my stance, and then once I've announced my stance, I gotta shut up.
So then going back to the situation with your family, how does announcing your stance make any sort of difference? Like, um, do you announce your stance on racism and problems with people of color in your family, and do those discussions happen at all?
I don't do that formally. I speak about it on social media, and then my family notices my social media, and then if I'm home for a weekend or for a holiday, it'll, you know, a conversation will come up and I will feel compelled to, you know, give my 2 cents on
Yeah.
it.
Um, yeah, great, thank you. Um, sorry, it's weird that you're my boyfriend and I'm treating you kind of like an interviewer. Um,
It's okay. The podcast context is a weird one that I
it
think we're
is
still working out.
but I like it. It it
Yeah,
has a more formal tone for everything, and there can be goofy on this podcast, but there can also be like privilege check on this podcast,
yeah,
which I want there to be because please God, there needs to.
yeah.
And yeah, so Thank you for your talk on privilege and your awareness.
Thank you for being patient with me while I struggle to actually answer questions.
That's okay. Thank you for being patient while I struggle to question.
Wow.
So I want, if possible, next podcast for you to do the same to me. And
Okay.
yeah, and see what uh what changes there are, and because a lot of the stuff of my race I haven't confronted till this month. And
Sure.
I also am a drastically changed person than when I was in back in India when I lived there. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's important to speak on this stuff. And for anyone listening, maybe look up a white privilege checklist and see how many of those you can tick off. And I'll try to put one in the comments of this video so that you know how aware you are of your
Yeah.
privilege. Because I did one of those recently and I checked off like three, which out of 20, which is still like I'm a privileged person as an upper middle class, financially stable human being.
Yeah.
Also, who is not black, because black people have it far worse than brown people. And
Hmm.
I mean, that's just my experience. I don't know. As
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like some of my black friends have it radically different than I do, and I need to stop using that word. It's a very intimidating word, radically. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yes.
There's a song by a band called Field Music. They're a British band.
Mm-hmm.
They have a song called Count It Up, where it's first off, the song is an absolute jam, and I highly recommend listening to it because it's just a fun song. But also the lyrics are basically just like a list of, if this applies to you, count it up.
Mm,
That counts as privilege.
interesting.
Yeah, things like if you've never had to worry about what you're going to eat the next day, count it up.
Yeah.
If you've ever gone through passport control and never had an ounce of anxiety, count it up.
Yeah. You can link that in the comments, and
I think I will.
yeah. So I'm gonna link this checklist. Please go check it out and work through the worksheet, and um and listen to Connor's song, and we will,
Hmm.
yeah, make yourself more aware. It's a good thing to be aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't, if the awareness makes you feel bad,
Good.
that's unfortunate. Uh, but also, yes, good.
Yeah.
The only reason you feel bad is because you're now aware of more reality.
Yep. Do yourself and your colored friends a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Also, thank you so much for watching and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because of our recording situation, you may notice that the two wiggly lines on the YouTube video are wiggling independently.
Ooh.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Independent wiggles.
One, two, three, four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the Wiggles their recording contract and started their own independent Wiggles.
Plastic wiggles.
Yeah, feel free to check out our two other episodes where we talk about horror movies and answer questions from Instagram.
Oh yeah.
They're a little bit lighter toned than this one.
Mm.
They're good. It's a good time, and we'll definitely be making an effort to be releasing more because this is a good time. Now that we've got this setup figured out.
All right. Bye.
Uh, yeah, bye.